something that I know people think about and sometimes ask me about is, number one, do I really need a realtor when I'm looking to buy or sell a home? And secondly, does it really matter what realtor I pick? Hey, it is Kim, your favorite Georgia realtor. So I want to give you two scenarios, two situations that I was involved in last year. Number one, I was representing these sellers and we went under contract on a property. Now, a little background if you're not familiar with this. So when you are a buyer and you go under contract, you definitely have usually have a due diligence period. So this is a period in which you can back out for any reason and not lose your earnest money. Now, during this due diligence period, typically a buyer is going to have a home inspection. And then after that home inspection, the buyer may see some things that need to be repaired or be replaced, and they may ask the seller to repair or replace these things. And they submit a document with those requests on there, and then hopefully the seller signs it and those things get done. Or in my case, the seller said, well, I'll do some of these things, but I'm not going to do all of these things. And so we sent another document back for the seller, for the buyer to sign. Now, the buyer's agent and I went back and forth on some things, and, they kept asking for different things, and the seller was going back and forth. Well, what ended up happening is the buyers never signed anything. The sellers never signed anything. We ended due diligence, and there was not an amendment that had been signed to repair or replace things, okay? So nothing at that point had to be repaired or replaced. Now, my seller, just being the people they were, there were a few of those things. They're like, you know what, we're just going to fix it anyways. And they did. So we went to the closing table, and the other agent said, well, I didn't really worry about getting that document signed because I knew everything was going to work out okay. And I thought, if you were the buyer, would you want an agent representing you who didn't make sure that your interests were protected and that the things that you wanted done, and he was just leaving it to the goodness of the heart of the seller? I don't think I would want someone like that representing me. Interesting side note, in the course of all this, I realized that this agent had actually let his license expire. So interesting thought. All right, second scenario, I was representing the buyer. We went under contract on a property, and then there were some details that needed to be worked out, and I started contacting the listing agent, and we'd had great conversations before. Well, he absolutely 100% disappeared. Would not answer phone calls, would not return texts, would not respond to emails, just absolutely disappeared. So after a few days, I ended up contacting his broker. She tried to get in touch with him and could not. And it ended up, they just had they reassigned another agent in the office to this listing. Imagine if you were the seller in that situation and your agent disappeared. Now, in our case, on the buyer's end, it was still that way because there were some things that had to be worked out that the first agent had not done correctly, okay? So, two scenarios here. Do you want an agent like that in either of these cases representing you? Oh, by the way, we did at some point, the other broker did hear from this guy, and we do know that he is alive because I was concerned about that. Who your realtor is matters. So how do you choose a good realtor? Well, I think number one, if there's someone you know, love, and trust, and you know their character, you know their work ethic, and you think they're a good fit, then you get in touch with them, you interview them, and you see if what you thought is true. The other thing is get with family members who've used realtors, get with your friends who's used realtors, ask them questions. Then again, get with the realtor. It's okay to ask them for references. And then again, you are interviewing this realtor to see if you are a good fit. What kinds of things should you think about? Well, I think that one important question is, how many transactions did you do last year, right? This market is changing all of the time. And if someone is doing just a few transactions here and there, or they're just kind of dabbling and they're not doing real estate full time, they may not really understand the market and know what's happening and maybe don't know how to negotiate best for you. I think it's important to know what are they doing to stay current on the market? What are they doing to understand the housing market? How are they getting education? How are they getting training, to stay on top of those things? Is real estate their full-time job? Now, statistics do show that people who use a realtor usually end up with better terms and conditions if they're buying, and if they're selling, they usually end up with more profit than they would have ended up with otherwise. So 2025 is here. If you are thinking it may be a good time to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, give me a call, interview me. Let's find out if we would be a good fit.